So this is an activity we call letter strips, for the obvious reason that there are strips of letters, and yes, there are some numbers up there. Thank you for letting us know. What I'm going to have you do is get to just fingertips distance from the charts there. Just so you can just barely touch it. A little closer. Yeah, right. A little closer. Touch it. There you go. And you can put your arms down. And I'm going to have you start with the same hand. You're going to touch the same strip. So left hand, you're going to touch 8. Right hand, you're going to, 8. And then right hand, you're going to touch H. You're going to put your hands down after every touch. I want you to say the letter that you're touching as you touch it, okay?
Yeah, am I touching both at the same time?
No, that sounds difficult.
Yeah. So, A, H, L, C, 3, R, 5, T, U, O, D,
Nice.
0, 1, N, Z. My eyes preparing for the other
Good job noticing.
X, yep, T.
So you see there's a little bit of hesitation.
Yep. I was okay in the beginning when it started shifting, preparing for the other.
Especially as you get down the strip, it's going to become a little bit difficult. I also noticed on your right side, you're touching the strip a little bit more hard than you were on the left side. You had a little bit of keeping this hand up while we're getting this hand up. So I'm going to have you go back up from the bottom to the top. And this time I want you to reach across and touch the one with, yep, just like that.
Okay. 7, 1, W, H, T, X, Z, N, 1, 0, D, U, R, L, Z, L, H, 8.
How do you feel about that?
Same thing. I feel like at the beginning, I was focusing on the specific letter with the specific hand, and then as I was going up, my eyes are prepared for the next movement that I'm going to do.
I gotcha. So in the middle here, it starts to get hard. Does it get easier again as we go to the top? Or does it stay that kind of level of difficulty? Or preparedness, the feeling that you need to be ready for it?
Maybe eases up a little bit.
Eases up a little bit? All right, we're going to do top to bottom again. Same hand, same strip. This time I want you to raise the same foot as you touch it. I'd like you to try to coordinate it to be as you touch, you're raising that foot up.
Okay.
And I'm going to make this just a tiny little extra different. I want you to really start looking at it as your hand is going for it and not pre-look.
Okay. H.
So you notice how you pre-looked there?
Did I?
So you started looking before you started moving.
Okay.
Which is kind of normal. I'm asking you something difficult.
Okay, so my...
There you go. You see how you're a little fast on that one? Okay, keep going.
L,
Slow down.
R, 3,
No, look, don't do it yet.
T.
Don't do an intermediate look. Can you come and change my spot?
Oh, sure.
So you can see? You're going to keep doing this.
Okay. U, D. Yeah, I think I'm still. T, X, U, H, 7, 1.
Nice. Now we're going to do the cross pattern again from bottom to top. And I'm going to have you raise the same foot as the strip.
I just have a question.
Yes.
Did you notice that her eye shifted?
Yes, there's a lot of shift going on.
So do you tell the patient to quiet that down or just let it go?
I tend to let people let it go, and then I'll try to ask them at the end if they notice that. And then I'll ask them over time, can they try to correct for that? So we're going to do reaching across.
Tipping towards.
It's a shift. Your head wasn't moving, but that helped you to get to the other side. So it's not a movement of your eye. Well, you did that.
Yeah.
But it helped you.
Okay. 7, 1, W, H, T, X, Z, 0, D, 5, T, 4, L, Z, 8, H.
I think you skipped one in there.
Did I?
Do you know which one?
Oh, I know I messed up here.
Yes, that definitely happened, but it kind of, something led us to that.
Maybe here somewhere. I don't know.
Very close. I think it was the N you missed.
Okay.
So, as you can see, it can be hard to keep your track on these things.
Yeah.
One way to make this radically different, very easily, is just going like that. That can really mess people up. If you want to load the activity, having them be offset, you can flip one strip upside down. We can get these wider apart. We can have more than one strip, so you have somewhere else to touch and do a different action.
Mm-hmm.
We like doing the limb patterns. See if we can do the ipsilateral and contralateral, am I getting those right?
Yes.
Movements. As we mentioned, we're going to see if there's any kind of sway that might be helping you do the activity. Ultimately, we want the head to be straight on with the middle of those targets. You're moving your eyes there, and you're keeping your head more or less still in that plane.
It's very hard.
That's difficult to do. So there's a lot of coordination going on.
How do you decide how far these letters are?
I always start at the same-ish distance, which is about a foot, and then I'll adjust it over time. If I really need the patient to work on looking out, maybe I'll have a central strip, and then a strip to the side that they need to work on. So if I
So you basically moved it from the center.
yeah,
So
so
they're
they're
not doing.
looking out there.
That's good.
You can
So it's so many different ways.
yeah,
of
you
doing
could definitely vary it a bunch of different ways. Another way I like to do to make this a little harder is have them say the next letter or number in sequence. So instead of saying 8, you'd say 9. Instead of saying H, you'd say I. Or coming up with a word that starts with a letter. So if it's a number, you have to think of the letter that is. So that's like every, horse, llama, zebra, tomato, and trying to go like that. As you're doing all these cross patterns, get the metronome out. It can
Do you find that
get pretty nuts.
just by doing this in this size, it's good for somebody who has problem tracking in front of the computer?
I think so.
That's all you
I
need.
prefer larger strips than this. I was looking around to see if I could double the strips
Larger.
up. Typically speaking, the strips, these are not the same font size, but the strips I use tend to be about this long, so it's double length. So I like it that way. It
Like
gives you a
letter
lot more
size?
of that. It's the same size.
Do you always use this size?
I always use this is a tiny bit different, but generally I always use this size.
And you never go down from this.
I do not, but you definitely can find a reason to. I find that there's other activities that will teach that kind of lesson. This is not that lesson for me. This is more of, can I coordinate myself in space with the letters? Can I touch them? Are my saccadic eye movements accurate? I really like to touch the letters. You were more pointing at the letters, which is okay. And I think that was a fault of my fingertips distance description. But touching, you get that kinesthetic input. I get to see if you touch things too hard. Do you know how you're metering your strength to the activity? Some people are just really heavy touchers. You got a lot of that action. It's super obnoxious. You have people who are very demure, who are going to just barely put any strength into any activity, and they need to put more into it. And so I get a chance to see how physically in tune they are. Can they coordinate these limbs? Can they get the contralateral and the ipsilateral kind of motion going on? Those are so hard to keep straight.
I also like to have them go down and then back up
Yep. The whole
without
down and up.
stopping.
No
and see if they can do
change.
that.
So many different ways
Yep.
of doing it.
And that's a key takeaway I hope that you get out of this, is there's 1.5 million ways to do the same activity. And you can make it just about anything you'd like. We can start putting overlays on this, make it MFDF, biocular. We can go pretty nuts on it. What's our next activity?
Yes, let's move on to flashlight tag.
Flashlight
Very
tag.
simple.
We have some pictures. Flashlight.
You can get my daughter out.
Yeah, see if we can get a helper.
Roll 4,